Welcome, everybody, to the Evolution Podcast. I'm Brandon DeCramer from Evergreen Foundations,
And I'm Christina Joy with Chaos to Clarity Lab.
and we join you here today on the Evolution Podcast with a pretty interesting subject. Why do people get into entrepreneurship? Why do people start businesses, online businesses in this world? Everybody's afraid that AI is taking over their job, so I'm sure people are flocking to things. But you have everything from MLMs to coaching to bringing brick and mortar businesses online. Why do people go into entrepreneurship? I
Whoa.
know why I did. What do you think?
Oh, you just went silent for a second there. I don't know if that was for everybody or just me, but you came back.
Okay.
But there was a portion of that. I don't really know what you asked me, but I feel like it's something about why do people get into online businesses,
Yeah,
right?
or
Yeah,
entrepreneurship in general. Yeah.
entrepreneurship in general. So, my thought on this is I think a lot of people just get burned out in the rat race for many reasons. I think one of the reasons is because maybe their makeup, maybe who they are doesn't really fit into that mold. We talk about ADHD a lot, and even though a lot of people are not diagnosed or don't even really recognize the ADHD in themselves as a business consultant and having worked in a lot of different types of industries and helped a lot of different businesses, I can tell you that most of the business owners that I've worked for have ADHD tendencies at minimum, you know, and a lot of them probably are, and that might be why they didn't fit in that box of like, okay, I have to show up at 9 and I'm there until 5. I have a 15-minute break here. I have a 15, and it's just so structured that I think that some people feel like it's too confining, or they get bored with it, or they can't. It's like they don't, their body won't let them function on that like clock, you know? And so I think that that's part of it, because it's, people need to be able to like function on their own time, or without the control of someone else telling them how to do their job or how to do their thing every day. So I think that's one reason.
That's a huge part of my reason. I mean, the things I say, right, is I wanted to change my children's life and go a different route and have more sustainable living, do my own thing. But really, I think I was suppressing my creative side for so long. I really identified with certain aspects of my life and then kind of lost some of those. And I never identified with like your traditional 9 to 5s. Like being stuck in that box like crushed me. I made a lot of mistakes. I never fit in. I was like job to job. I never felt like it really meant anything to me ever. Where entrepreneurship and like doing something for myself, building, creating, working with others, it was always like super fulfilling. Where I think that like traditional working for somebody else, I never found anything really fulfilling in it as much as I try. As much as I try in like the beginning to be like the best employee they ever hired. Like 6 months in, I'd be like, okay, I'm bored.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's only so far you can go up a ladder in some businesses where, you know, another part of this is just to have the freedom and have the flexibility of time. I mean, that's a big one for me. Like I wouldn't mind yeah, I would. I was gonna say I wouldn't mind having just a 9 to 5er, but yeah, I mean, I'm not really a big fan of the 9 to 5 thing, in general, because my energy just doesn't really fit into that mold. But more than anything, what's more interesting to me about being my own boss, being an entrepreneur, is having the freedom of time and having the freedom of schedule. I have an unconventional life, and I want to be able to like drive around the country in my home like I do. And I can't really do that if I have to be at work at this set schedule 40, 50 hours a week. Because how am I going to do that, So the flexibility of time, I think, is another one.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's why, like, staying power, like, I mean, sometimes I go, man, I work more than I would in a traditional job. And a lot of times, solopreneur, I mean, not fully anymore, but like entrepreneur, I don't get paid for like a lot of the work that I do, right? Like, we all get that. Iris is probably shaking her head too. We don't get paid for half of the stuff we do. So we really have to have that, like, reason we're doing it, the belief in the business, the belief in ourselves, the belief in the outcomes of whatever we're doing to really keep us going. And I think sometimes that's what makes me thrive and like I can work 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. sometimes, but
Yeah.
but I can also, if Allie is like, hey, can you till the garden today? I can be like, yeah, sure. Like, go out there, do that for 2 hours, and then just get back to whatever I was doing later. Or do a project around the house, start a fire outside, and work on my phone. Like, those things are the staying power that goes, I want to be able to keep doing this. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep rolling with it, right?
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that. You know, and then you brought up a good point about, um, and it's where Iris, gave you the heart. It's about doing the thing that is your purpose too, you know. Um, it's about doing the thing that kind of lights your soul on fire. Like no matter how often I've been in like a regular job where I have a regular schedule, it may not be the thing that speaks to my soul, but I was always volunteering somewhere. I was always doing something else to like fill that soul gap, you know? And and sometimes you get to a point where you're working so much and you're trying to volunteer so much and you're trying to like fill that space that you're like, wait a minute, let me just figure out something where I'm filling that space and like getting paid for it too,
Yeah.
right?
I went through like a busy phase and I mean I think for me I didn't come from like business and stuff. So like beginning to be entrepreneur, like I had to learn everything. Like I was learning from other people, I was watching, I was taking lead magnets, I was listening to the gurus, I was kind of doing it all, but getting books. I was kind of like pouring myself into things. But what you find is like a lot of distractions, a lot of like shiny objects, a lot of like, oh hey, I'm like doing a lot because I'm doing a lot, but I wasn't really doing anything. Like I was just really, but without that time frame, I wouldn't be able to be exactly like learning the things I did, stepping into the doors I stepped into because I wouldn't even have known that they existed had I not went through the like information overload stage. Was I really building my business financially? No, but in that year and a half, 2 years time, I really learned where now 5 years, 10 years ago now, business Brandon is going to thank that time period. Where at the time I was probably just spinning my wheels a little bit.
Well, and to that point, when you're an entrepreneur, you're not just building your business, you are also building yourself. And
Yeah.
if you're not building yourself in addition to your business isn't going to work, period.
No,
It's just not.
no.
You actually have to do the work on both. And I've met some people who were working on their business had they didn't give a damn about the work that they were doing, what they were actually doing. What they cared about was the money coming in. And you know who crashed and burned first? Those people. I
Yeah.
think that some people are built to be money makers, and those are the billionaires out there in the world, right? I think that most of us are not built that way. I think a
No,
lot of us are built where we have to have some other thing that feeds our soul that isn't money related. I'm not saying
yeah.
all of us, but I do believe that most of us need that other thing or we just burn out.
I think that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. And I don't think a lot of people realize that, like, the personal development stuff and all of the things that we're like supposed to do to feel good and stuff, it's also all about discipline and like waking up at 4 a.m. to work out and then work on your back end business before anybody like bothers you and stuff like that. Like, I think that's the stuff that people don't see, right? Like, that those are the things like to keep ourselves sharp, we have to do so many other aspects because if we're not sharp, we're not just showing up like punching a clock and we're not sharp when we're not sharp, like running a business, we're losing money. We're detrimenting our future. We're putting
Yeah.
our own backs against the wall. We're making decisions that have long term consequences for us, our businesses, our financial stability. Not just showing up like a little hungover and punching a clock the next day. I feel like there's a lot more pressure. So everything you really do, how you take care of yourself, your structure, your schedule, the way you function as a human has so much to do with how your business functions. And I think you bringing that up, it's really an underlooked aspect, if you ask me.
I agree. And to take that a step further, we can talk about how all that affects our business and ourselves and maybe our families and like that side of things. But it also totally affects our clients and their outcomes. So if someone's paying me a few $1,000s to work with them on this project for their business, and I'm showing up, I mean, I don't drink anymore. But say I still did, and I'm showing up with a hangover to have a one-on-one about whatever it is, I'm not going to be as sharp. I'm not going to
No.
be able to process information the same way. I'm not going to be able to do that if I'm not on my A game. And and so again, it's just it goes to show you how important it is to not only take care of your business, maybe your business is thriving, but if you keep showing up as I hate to say a lesser version of yourself, but if you are showing up as a lesser version of yourself, I guess, you're really going to affect your client and their outcomes as well, which ultimately will affect your business too.
You know what's sad is I just kind of had a realization while you're saying that is that a lot of times people don't step up to just like take care of themselves, right? Like, hey, I know I need to step up in this area because we're more likely to like give ourselves a pass, let it not look at it, let it go, like just be in the habit of not doing it. But if somebody pays us or if there's a lot on the line, then it's like, man, I have to make sure I am locked in. But
Yeah.
if it's just for us, we're like, ah, whatever, but like when you're an entrepreneur, you can't just you have to be locked in because what happens when you get a cash, like they ask for their money back? They're not happy. They're telling everybody that you suck because you're not showing up with whatever it is that you're supposed to be showing up with. So I think there's so much more on the line that
Yeah.
keeps true entrepreneurs and business owners accountable every day. That's
And their
my approach.
employees.
Yes,
Yeah, and their employees. We didn't even talk about that yet because I mean, and a lot of people are solopreneurs, so this doesn't necessarily relate to them, but a lot of people, even if you're a solopreneur now, you're not gonna be forever. You might have contractors you work for, or you might actually hire an employee. And if you show up and unload on them, or you're not treating them good because you're not in a good headspace, talented people don't stick around in chaos. They just don't. If you don't have your shit together, they're not going to stick around for it. I mean, they might for a while because they might feel like they can, like, bridge a gap or whatever, but they're going to peace out when they can because
yeah.
they're going to go find somewhere that they can excel. And so I think it's also important to take care of yourself and to grow as a human being within yourself so that you're good to your people who are supporting the business that is your bread and butter, that's supporting your family, that's supporting yourself, that's going to be the future of your whole life, you know?
That is so true. It's a great point, man. I love these conversations where we bring up a lot of stuff just randomly. Like
I know.
I love this. I actually have another question, but before that, we're going to take a little ad break. And today's episode is sponsored by Iris Aponte from A Journey Back to
Yay.
You. Right now, she is offering digital landing pages and websites like in a hurry. I got one. It was amazing. If you need one, hit up your girl, Iris Aponte, A Journey Back
Ooh.
to You on Skool.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And did you see the new this is sorry, it's Zoom. Don't mind me. I
It's,
was like, did you see the new reactions
it's
here? I thought
June.
it was school. It's not. Just kidding.
So, thanks for joining us for our little impromptu talk about entrepreneurship today on the Evolution Podcast. I've been Brandon Kramer,
Oh, I'm Christina Joy from Chaos to Clarity Lab.
and I'm from Evergreen Foundations. Everybody, have an amazing day.